Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Passport to the Paranormal. Super excited to be back for 2024. Unfortunately, tonight, Joe could not make it. He is off doing something paranormal related, which I really can't discuss too much information on. I'll let him talk about that next time he is on air with me. But tonight, we do have Brian. Brian is joining us in his place. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. How have you been?
I've been doing really well. Thank you for having me on, Heather.
Good, good. Glad you could join in and step in for Joe on short notice. Thank you for doing that.
Of course, not a problem anytime.
And everybody watching, whether you're watching live or the replay, just let us know you're here. Say hello. If you have any questions along the way, you can ask them. We do keep an eye on our previous shows. So if any questions pop up later on, we will get back to you as soon as we see those comments. And also just a little bit of housekeeping. You guys can watch us live on our Facebook page, Passport to the Paranormal. You can also catch the show live on Parallax TV Network #1, as well as Parapost Network. And then the following day, I do upload the videos to my YouTube channel, which is Heather Leigh, PhD. But any questions tonight? We're fair game. If you want to talk about the paranormal, I'd love to say sports, but I don't know much about sports and the aspect of who's doing what in sports. But you know what? We can find out for you. But we kind of want to see what you guys want to talk about. We're all here to have fun. Brainstorm, do whatever we need to do to kind of help make this field move forward. So, Brian, real quick, before we get too far into my babbling, and I don't get to talk much when Joe's on. Joe doesn't shut up. So, so he doesn't let me talk much. So I'm just going to keep rambling.
I'm sure you're going to do a lot more of the talking. So,
but before I continue rambling on too much, can you just let everybody know who you are?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Brian Williamson, and I found an interest in this field in 2008. And my first experience happened about a week after my grandmother had passed away. And just to kind of sum it up so everyone has an idea of like what my first experience was, is I was living in Las Vegas. Obviously, I'm in, beautiful, sunny Florida. But we were moving out of our apartment, my mom, my stepdad, and we were moving into a house, and my stepdad was at work. It was a Saturday morning, and my mom was up early packing everything up, and I got up. I have clothes in my hand. Hey, I'm gonna go take a shower, get ready for the day, whatever, and I'll be out to help you finish packing. So I go in the bathroom, and I set my clothes on the counter and by the sink, and I go to open the shower curtain, and I saw like this baseball-sized white light shoot from the top left of the shower all the way down right in front of me. Freaked me out, ran out screaming like a little kid, didn't know what it was, and told my mom. Surprisingly to me, she believed what I had experienced and how I explained it to her. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? It probably could have been nothing. I might have just, opened up the shower curtain too fast. Something fell down. It could have been whatever. Well, I went back in there, and there was nothing on the floor, nothing on the bottom of the tub, nothing that could have fallen off or anything like that. That experience happened 1 week to the day that my grandmother had passed away. So I was left with no other choice but to really believe, could that have possibly been my grandmother? Mm-hmm. I don't know, possibly. And I know a lot of, and I'm sure we'll probably touch base on this subject of orbs. I'm not a big believer in them, not unless I see it like my first experience physically with my own eye. Other than that, pictures and videos, I'm not a big believer in them because it can be anything, but I'm sure we'll touch more on that later on. But ever since that experience, I wanted to know more about what it was that I had experienced, and I found a local team in Las Vegas, joined them for a while. 2015, started my own group, and then just kind of took off from there. And then I moved from different states, from Vegas to St. Louis and here to Florida. Ever since I really got here to Florida, I haven't really continued down the paranormal road per se. But working along with Heather, great as always. And, be more than happy to go on investigations and or do things like this. I haven't really done a whole lot since my last investigation in Vegas earlier this year. So, but I still love this field. I'm always open to exploring newer areas and learning more things, even though I've been in the field for 14 years.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that I'd say about 90% of people I meet say they got into this field because of a personal experience.
Yeah.
It's very few get into it just because they find it interesting. It's always something had to have piqued that interest to start with.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. But I see Wild Bill is joining us. Hey, Bill, how are you doing? Thank you for joining. Let us know what you want to talk about or if you have any questions. Of course, today was supposed to be just an open chat, just to kind of find about what you guys might want to see this season. I know Joe and I have plans in a month from now, February 7th. Just because in 2 weeks from now, I will be traveling, so we won't be able to do the show. But on our next show, we are doing a presentation that my goodness, Wild Bill, sorry. I just said the name there, that Joe and I did here in Orlando at Phantasm, Ouija or not Ouija. We have fun. We play off of each other. It's a serious subject, but we turn it into almost kind of like a he said, she said type of thing, where he takes the side of not Ouija, I take the side of Ouija, and we just kind of have fun talking about the pros and cons of using a Ouija board. So we will.
And I really got to say, I was telling you earlier before we just started, I love the background, by the way.
I know.
I'm not big on Ouija boards or anything, but I love the background. I think it's awesome. I was gonna use my Ouija board, my Ouija cup for my coffee, but I decided to use this one instead since I really don't use it much.
Yeah, I know for that show, I have my mom got me a Ouija board sweatshirt for Christmas, but I wore it last week for Ghost Dead, and I haven't done laundry yet. So I'm a little bit behind, but yeah, we'll be talking about that. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, I know last season we've had some special guests, some great special guests, but this year we kind of want to focus more on what our listeners and watchers want to see. So Brian, hey, as a watcher of our show, what would you like to see us talk about in the future?
Wow. Well, you guys do talk about a lot.
Joe talks about a lot.
I try to catch up because when you guys are live, I'm actually at work. And you guys are live as I go on break. So I try to watch about, 10, 15 minutes of it while I'm on my first break. And then, being in the field as a paranormal investigator, I believe that a lot of it, and I'm not one to shy away from it, because I will admit that being a paranormal investigator, I think a lot of investigators deal with mostly just the spirit world rather than the actual, like, the cryptozoology, ufology, and stuff like that, because that also falls into the paranormal category. If you're just a ghost hunter, that's just ghost hunting, rather than that the ghost hunting, the cryptozoology, ufology, all that falls into the paranormal field. I would love to hear more on, especially like cryptozoology. We can leave the ufology kind of to the side for now, because that's deep. And I would like to hear more on the crypto side, like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Jersey Devil, and the Florida's famous, what is it, the swamp ape or skunk ape. Yeah, I like to hear more on that stuff. So
okay, yeah, because I know we've had a lot of people asking for stuff like that, so that's definitely something we'll touch on. And something you said that brought up an idea in my head, or something that I like to talk about, but the term ghost hunting. Do we really hunt ghosts?
I don't think we do, to be honest. We're hunting something, but I don't know if it's, I mean, are we just the kind of crazies that sit in the corner and we're just like, are you here? Can you give me a sign of your presence? And it's just like, I know you and I, if are probably going to eventually touch on the topic of self-manifestation eventually. But if you're just sitting in the corner and whether you're by yourself or you have someone with you and you got a recorder in your hand, or you got all this equipment in front of you and you're asking for someone to give you a sign, is that actually happening? Is that spirit, that energy actually manifesting itself in response to your question, or is that something that you're self-manifesting because it's something that you want to experience yourself? You know, there's a lot that I've always wanted to experience. I mean, I've always wanted to I've always wanted to be on an investigation or just here at the house, wherever, and have a door slam in my face. If that actually happens, I'm probably going to run around like a chicken with my head cut off, screaming, "Thank God, finally it happened!" You know, but was that something I self-manifested because I want it to happen so bad?
Right. Yeah. But going back to the term ghost hunter, it was actually a topic we brought up yesterday on one of the shows I was on. And we really don't go hunt. I don't know. Maybe it's just something I've never preferred, but we don't go with guns, bow and arrows. You know, we don't hunt humans. So why are we hunting ghosts?
We don't have prospects.
Right. It's one of those things where that term just always, I don't know. I mean, if anyone in the audience is watching and has a different opinion on it, just let us know. I always prefer a paranormal investigator, a paranormal researcher to that aspect, just because the term hunting, just, I don't know. Not that I have anything against guns or anything like that or hunting. It's just, as far as hunting ghosts, I just never really liked that term. But moving on to self-manifestation. What are your thoughts? I think it's the hunt for the proof. Exactly. That would probably be it.
For the proof. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And so self-manifestation. What are your thoughts? I know you touched on it briefly, but the actual aspect, I know there's research going on it right now. I don't remember which organizations are doing it, but they are working on when someone asks a question, such as an EVP, or during an EVP session, like, hey, who's here? You know, and if someone in your group is answering the question in their mind, that actually imprinting on the digital voice recorder. What are your thoughts on something like that possibly happening?
I believe it could happen because the mind is a very powerful tool. And I believe it's the most powerful tool that we have, because anything that you put your mind to and you believe it without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what. And I would even, I believe it's possible. And I paused there for a minute because what came into my mind was even no matter how much negativity you feed it, but the negativity that you feed that positivity, would it get better or would it get worse? So you're like, hey, I'm going to do this because I believe I can do it. I know I can do it. But then there's that little thought that creeps in the back of your mind that wants to push the positivity all the way back and say, nah, you can't do it. And you know you can't do it. And it's just an ongoing battle of yes, you can, no, you can't. But the other thing too is, and I have a bad habit of doing this, and I'm a work in progress, is don't always go tell people what you're doing. Keep it to yourself, because if you say, oh, I'm going for this job interview and I hope I get it, and you go and you tell your mom, your dad, brother, aunt, sister, uncle, whatever, best friend, that little bit of ounce of negativity, whether they speak it or they think it, could cause that to not happen. Whether you, and that's the other thing too, is your belief system. How strong do you believe that I'm going to get this job, and no matter how much negativity gets fed to it, you know, there's that ongoing battle again.
Right.
You know, but now it's not just coming up in here from you, it's now coming from other people as well too. That could therefore cause you to not get what you want. So you always want to keep it to yourself no matter what. And, you know, I guess if you have a life partner or something, you'd be like, hey, you know, I got this job interview. I really hope I get it. And, you know, what do you think? Are you proud of me or whatever? You know, I could say that's one thing, but, you know, I wouldn't go around telling Facebook and the whole world, hey, guess what I was doing.
Yeah, actually, I have one personal project and one paranormal project in the works that we've kept hush hush, and it's been so hard to keep hush hush. But, you know, but yeah, I know we're actually working on experimenting with, and it's something that we'll probably end up bringing you along with, is the actual trying to get our thoughts imprinted, whether it's on video, on, you know, because I know there was also projects where I have the research somewhere, but just not readily available. But many, many, many years ago, when it was film cameras, where they would do the same thing and try to imprint visual onto an actual film, and it worked. And film that was not even in a camera, it was still in the canister. So there's a lot of research going on, and unfortunately we're not even anywhere near scratching the surface of it. And my personal thought is because we keep doing the same stuff over and over and over, we need to advance out and stuff like that. So I remember several years ago we were in the middle of a project together out in Nevada, and a question came up that kind of floored Brent and myself at first, but the Nevada Triangle. I don't know if you remember when we were asked about that.
I do. I'm even trying to picture like the triangle. Yep. Isn't it Cali and then up to like Nevada and then down to Arizona and over?
Roughly, yeah. It includes it. I'm trying to remember, but it includes all of Death Valley, Area 51, Goldfield, Gold Point, and that area. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was interesting. We were so caught off guard on that. We were like, well, the what? We're both.
Well, I thought that there was the Bermuda Triangle. Now there's a Nevada Triangle.
Right. And it was just so funny. We're both on our phones researching. But yeah, it's interesting. And so I know one topic that Joe and I are going to be bringing up definitely is the Bermuda Triangle, because that's not too far from where we live, as well as, of course, the Alaska Triangle. There's one in the Northeast. Then you have the Nevada Triangle. They're all over the world. So that's going to be a topic that we're going to be bringing up. But what are your thoughts on specific areas being heightened with paranormal activity, whether it's ufology, cryptozoology, ghosts?
Good question. I do know a couple of them that you have told me that I definitely would like to go and check out. Like here in Florida, I would like to go. But there was one that I was supposed to do, and my memory's a little blank on like the experiences on it, but I still to this day would not mind going and checking it out, but people can look it up. It is known as the Mogollon Monster. It's kind of like Arizona's local Bigfoot type thing. And like I said, my mind's a little blank because it's been a few years. So I have to go and dig back up my research and kind of get a better understanding again. So that way, the next time we talk about it, oh, hey, remember you mentioned the Mogollon Monster? Oh, yeah, I remember now. And then I can be able to explain it. But I do remember one thing that I was supposed to go and meet an eyewitness of the Mogollon Monster when he and his family were out camping. He had some weird experiences, and we were actually going to go meet up with him at the exact spot that the experiences happened. But we just never got around to actually going out and investigating it. And that's something I would still love to do is, we were going to go out camping in the middle of the woods and stay up all night and hope that this Arizona Bigfoot would come trawling through our camp. And, here be Brian, what do you have to say? Is there something, there's people watching right now, I like to be able to get like an interview or something to happen. But that's one I would definitely like to go check out.
Okay. Yep. And then going back to some of the comments, Anthony says that yes, he had read a person holding undeveloped film was able to put a picture on it from their mind. And it's a real interesting study. I'll have to find it and post it on our page as well. And then talking about the Bermuda Triangle, Robin says her aunt got lost in the Bermuda Triangle. I would love to hear about her experiences during that.
I would, because, I was actually going to bring up the Bermuda Triangle is, I wouldn't mind, on a nice clear sunny day where there's no hurricanes or this terrible storm that we just had last night. But I actually would like to go out to an area of the Bermuda Triangle, especially where they say a lot of the ships and people were lost, and see what happens. Maybe in a boat and just actually sit there with recorders on the boat and see if anything does happen if we can capture any evidence.
Right. Yep. And then Anthony also brought up ley lines in the Alaska Triangle. Exactly. All the same thing. Amazing the activity that happens within those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a topic I know we're also going to be talking about is Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes, Skinwalker Ranch.
I know a few people working on that project, and I'm hoping I'm like this close to getting them on one of my shows. So
I've done some research on the Skinwalker Ranch and actually did a little small podcast with a buddy of mine on the Skinwalker Ranch, and some of the things that we came up with were just beyond the normal experiences that the family was going through, besides the skinwalkers and all that. But there were other things that was happening on the ranch outside of the normal things.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And I know they don't show everything on the TV show, but I'm kind of, would love to get my hand. I mean, just spend an hour out there.
That would be nice if we didn't get, face down in dirt with guns pointed to the back of our head.
I know.
That would be nice.
Exactly. And Haley, thanks for joining the show. Glad you could make it tonight. And then Robin, if you want to message me at Passport to the Paranormal on Facebook, definitely Joe and I would love to talk to you. If you don't mind sharing your story, we can get you on for part of our show in the future, and definitely do that. So make sure you message me. And then also anyone with a paranormal experience, a story to share, personal experiences, don't hesitate to reach out to either Joe Franke or myself. We'd be more than happy to talk to you and either share your story, leaving out your personal information, or if you want to come on the show, we're also more than welcome. You're more than welcome to come on the show. We're always happy to bring on different people. We love learning from other people, as well as we love sharing our experiences. Between Joe and I, geez, we have over 70 years experience in the paranormal. We're really aging ourselves there. Yeah, and Lisa, she knows that things follow you home from Skinwalker Ranch. Exactly.
I've heard.
Yep. Yeah, I know someone who is working on a project. They actually send him questions to ask, spirit boxes, and they're doing different remote testing, and I don't even know all the details, but I just know that they're reaching out to other people for research, and now some people are having experiences never even being at Skinwalker Ranch.
Interesting. Wow.
So that goes along the lines of, are they self-manifesting it, or kind of different
I'm not
things
saying
like that.
it is, but it could be a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they could be many things, but who knows? But I'm open to definitely like hearing their experiences. Never being there, I'd like to hear.
Yeah, and it kind of also. Oops, did I freeze or did you freeze? Oh, there we are.
Oh, yeah, look good to me.
Yeah. And it also makes me wonder, because it goes along the lines of, I know one of the questions that we ask whenever we do paranormal investigations is, how often do you watch paranormal TV? Because could it be because they watch the TV show or they're involved with it more often? It's, are they, again, thinking that this is what should happen type of thing? Because I know we had that one client in Vegas who I continued to help once we moved to Florida. Yep. And she admitted every time she had the green glowing eyes in her room, she was watching Ghost Adventures.
Yep. Yep. I don't, I guess while we're on the subject of shows, I don't watch them as much as I used to. And I'll admit, the last Ghost Adventures episode that I watched, you referred me to watching it and said, actually, this is the best one they've done. And that was the Lake of Death, the one that they did with Lake Mead. And I was impressed. I was, I'm not going to lie, I was, except for two of the people that were on there, two investigators. I'm not even going to touch space on them, but
I've heard from a lot of people that the show really jumped the shark when that happened.
Yeah, I agree. And
but outside of that, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing that I watched was what you referred to me watching. You said that was really good, and that was The Devil on Trial. That one and Robert the Doll. Yep. I think that's the last
The shock doc
paranormal.
one.
Yeah, I think that was the last paranormal thing I watched. But based on the shows, I think what a lot of people do is they expect when they go in this field, that's what it's going to be like. That's not the case. And at the same time, I think what it is when you watch these shows, just like watching a scary movie, you're now all of a sudden scared for your life because you're afraid to go down a dark hallway and you have to have a light on in every room just so you don't get scared. Or you're trying to go to the fridge at 2 o'clock in the morning to get a drink of water and you got to run back to the room because you think something's following behind you. That's not the case unless you're sitting there and you're self-manifesting again what you're watching. You think you're going to experience this after you get done watching the show, or the movie, and that's not the case.
Right? Yeah, I turn on all the lights just because I don't want to stub my toe or trip on the dog. It's why But real quick, guys, for those of you just tuning in, I know Joe Franke's not here. Sorry about that. He will be here in 4 weeks when we return back to our To Ouija or Not To Ouija presentation. He actually had to travel several hours from home to work on a paranormal project that I really can't divulge too much information on quite yet, but I'm sure he would be more than happy to talk for the entire 2 hours about the show when he returns. And we may not even talk about Ouija boards next time, so that might be a show in the future. But tonight I am joined by a fellow paranormal investigator who I started on a team in Vegas. My first team I ever joined was in Vegas, and then he followed me to Florida. I mean, I just can't get rid of him now.
Sorry, I helped you move to Florida, and then what was it, like a week to a month later? Hi, Heather, I'm in Florida, and a year and a half later, I go back, and now I'm back again 6 months later. So
exactly, but we have a lot of things we can do, and we're going to have a lot of fun once we start
Absolutely.
investigating.
I'm looking forward to it.
Now that my knees are getting better. But going back to some of the comments real quick, Joe says, if a paranormal topic became a highly promoted TV show, I feel it's time to drop it. Once a big camera crew hits the scene with all the funding and digital eye recording, if there was something substantial, it would hit the news. I definitely agree with that.
I do too.
Yep.
I do too. Good point there, Joe.
Yep. And Anthony says that he finds the ranch has many doorways in the Veil of Spirit. Exactly. I think there's definitely more there than just paranormal.
Yeah.
I truly do feel that there is and I think a lot of the answers are there. It's just we got to find them and reveal them.
Yeah.
This one, I love this comment. Yvonne says she doesn't watch much now since Zach Bagans started looking old. I love that comment. I do kind of have to agree with that. Philip, my co-host from opposite Wednesday nights to this, is here. Hey, Philip, how are you doing? You watched Real Haunts 3 today. Kind of curious as to what your thoughts are on that one.
Hey, Philip.
But that is the latest in the motion picture video series Real Haunts. They have a whole bunch of different videos on Tubi as well as Amazon. You can catch that there. I know my paranormal team was a part of Real Haunts 3, and we were one of 5 teams that they featured in that series as well. And you're scared now. I'm kind of curious as to what you're scared about. And then Joe says the true mysteries would be the places that he corrected it, undocumented crew or would get into without permission. Anything else is a tourist trap, pretty much. Yeah. And Joe says he's here in Florida. He's a skeptic, but will take his cameras along with the crew to see what can be seen. Joe, definitely reach out to me. We are in Southwest Florida. And then we do have a lot of different things planned, but maybe we can talk and set something up if you're interested. Okay. And Robin, thank you for leaving your contact information for me. I will definitely be in contact with you. If not by this weekend, definitely early next week, I will be in touch. So again, guys, we are here to talk about anything you want to talk about, anything you guys want to see for the season. So getting back to Brian when we first met. I know actually, even though I've been researching the paranormal field for more than 30 years, I was a writer for CBS, and they had tasked me with writing an article on the most haunted locations in Vegas. And I had reached out to you, and you responded, and that's how we became friends. We stayed friends on Facebook after that interview. And then I finally decided to join your team. That was one interesting experience. I don't know if someone would have lasted as long as I did.
No,
Dealing with
with what you do and how you did everything. Yeah, no, I don't.
yeah.
So
And I still find it interesting that, and this is where you kind of, I'm leading into talking about those that are really into paranormal research versus the, I guess you would say, ghost hunters, the hobbyists. I know the day that I went and met the rest of the team at the location that we were doing the first meeting and first investigation at, there was supposed to be 10 other people, and only 3 of us showed up, or 4 of us showed up.
yeah.
And out of those 4, I was last man standing.
Yeah.
For a couple months.
And I just, there's, you've been in this field for a long time, longer than I have. I've only been in it for 14 years.
I've been in it older than you are.
Yeah, I know. But I know that when you set these things up and you reach out to people, we're holding a meeting. You can come down if you're interested in joining. We're going to eventually go on this investigation at this location. And everyone's like, oh my God, I'll be there. I'll totally be there. And not even, the list is this long and only this amount of people show up. Then you really weren't that into it. That, or, something came up. But the last meeting I had a list of this many people, and literally one person showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
And
right. And we even found it interesting because I know one of your other teammates, and even Brent and I joked about it at the meeting, is we had monthly team meetings at the same location.
Yep.
We knew about that next meeting a month in advance. So it wasn't like it was like, hey, it's this weekend.
Nope.
And my husband's in the hospital having lung surgery. And I still show up to the meeting. And someone else doesn't show up because they just didn't want to go.
Yeah. I mean, I had a birthday party planned. Mm-hmm. I just got back to Vegas, coming back from Florida earlier this year. Birthday was in May. I got back in April. I had a birthday party and a meeting. I figured, okay, everyone shows up early. We'll do a little meeting. And then everybody else will have like a little birthday get together or whatnot. One team member, I can't make it because, I'm sick. And then a month later, I'm sick again, or I can't do this and I can't do that. If you're going to commit to something that you really want to do, then I would commit to it. It's the same thing that I do when I'm out here. When I first moved here, is I volunteered at aquariums and stuff. You got to have that 6-month commitment.
Mm-hmm.
If the teams aren't like this for the 6-month commitments, but by going there and showing up, especially when you're a team member who's been on the team since day one and you've stuck it out that long, that does go to show a lot, especially when you're having newer team members and you're just kind of getting everything back on its feet again, and you don't show up not once but twice back to back because you're sick.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even so much that. I mean, and before we get the nasty comments, because I know they'll come, and they'll always come after the show. I did not leave my husband while he was in surgery. He was out of surgery, done with recovery, back in his room and comfortable, and he told me to go. Because I know those comments are coming. Oh, Heather, how could you leave your... And as Philip and I always say on our Wednesday night shows to our guests, don't worry, the hate mail comes to me. I deal with it. I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, it's a level of commitment that I don't think a lot of paranormal investigators have. No. And that's where the separation comes between the hobbyists versus the real researchers.
Just for fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, it's funny. I hope mine aren't coming across. Oh, nope. None of them are coming across as nasty. I haven't seen anything that's been nasty coming across. But I did, Joe, make sure you do reach out to me because, yes, we would be more than happy to do something and set something up. We have a lot of things planned. And my crew, we go in with digital voice recorders, dowsing rods, pendulums, crystals, and just a small...
open mind.
open mine in a small digital video camera. We don't do anything high end, so it'd be kind of nice to have someone with better equipment come in and film us and film to see if they can get something that we might not be able to get on the I guess you would call it budget friendly, just because
budget friendly.
I do it because it's the
Is
equipment
this
I
field
prefer.
really budget friendly though?
No, but I call it budget friendly just because if it works, I'm not going to fix it.
Yeah, no.
So it would be nice to see. And then Anthony did have a question. Have you had anything thrown at you?
No. I will admit I wish I did. Because, and I say that because I did an investigation at the and it's in Las Vegas, and I don't know if I'm able to give. It's on Facebook and the news. So I did an investigation at the Wolfpack Tattoo on Fremont and Las Vegas Boulevard. Yep. And what
that information's everywhere, and they openly answer questions because they answered questions for my book.
Yeah, they do. So what I did is because the room where they get all their people get their tattoos done was an old I guess you could say, what's the way I could put this? It's a torture room, pretty much, for the mob. And I decided to grab 4 pairs of scissors and have one in front, one behind me, one on each side. And I asked, if you're here, and can you do me a favor and throw a pair of scissors in my general direction? And I probably stood there for about 10 minutes and not a single pair of scissors were thrown at me. However, nothing was thrown at me. But that same night, just a few seconds after waiting 10 minutes, there's a roll of paper towels. It literally, all I saw was it just levitate off the table a couple inches and then drop and then unravel. And then that was it.
Okay.
That was the only thing that I actually witnessed happen there. Everything else I would say was electrical issues, like the water, stuff like that.
Right. Okay. And hey, Jack, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to have you on the show. But yeah, so I've never had anything thrown at me, even though we think we heard rocks being thrown when we were investigating a mine in Nelson. But it could also have been because it was littered with water bottles. It could have been the water bottles popping. So we're not sure because we weren't in that area when it was happening. But have you ever been physically attacked? Because I know I have, and I've shared this story a lot. But kind of curious if you have. Because I guess I'm asking also because I have a lot of people who say, and Joe, they say it to Joe as well, oh my God, I can't wait to be attacked on a paranormal investigation. And Joe's also been physically attacked. And we're like, nope, no, you don't.
I have. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a few experiences. Some strange things happen. One of them I've actually had, and I have a picture of it on Facebook somewhere. Brian James Williamson, and you have to scroll on my photos down a long way.
It'll take you several hours because he shares everything on Facebook. So
yeah, whatever. Anyways, I got 3 scratch marks right here on my arm. And I didn't know they were there. I know that on the investigation, I had felt like a burning sensation. I was like, oh, I must have scratched my arm or something, not realize it, rub up against something. But I noticed that when I got out of the shower, they were bright red, and one of them started to bleed. So it made me wonder, okay, did something follow me home and redo it? Or was that just they were starting to appear, but I didn't get the full sensation and everything after I got out of the shower? Goldfield Hotel, the last time I was up there was literally like just a couple months ago. I was taking my girlfriend and on a tour, and we were with one of the team members in Vegas, and I just let out this like yell. It literally felt like someone stabbed me. It felt like somebody took a knife and just stabbed me right in the stomach. And it hurt. I'm looking all over, making sure I'm not bleeding or nothing. And I didn't see no marks or nothing, but it literally felt like someone took a knife and stabbed me right in the stomach. I've been pushed up against a wall at the Overland Hotel, my first time investigating, which was I can't remember what year it was, but I was literally pushed up against the wall, and never been pushed down a flight of stairs yet. But I'd say right now, at the top of my head, that's from what I can remember.
Yep. Yeah, I know the one. It was the residential, and it was the same residential where Brent lost track of time.
Yeah.
And during that, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like someone karate swept my feet out from underneath me. I want to say I flew up in the air because that's what it felt like, but it probably was like just 2 feet off the ground. It landed on my knees and it hurt like heck. I'm like, oh my God. And me being the mom I am, I stood up and yelled at it. I'm like, you don't do that to people. That's not how we treat people.
See, I'm the opposite. I'd be like, can you do it again?
I was like yelling at that thing.
I know people say, oh, I can't wait to get attacked. Is it fun?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Some of us welcome it. Okay. And I guess you say I do, but I don't, because, people who have an attack, we know what it's like. At the same time, I only say I do because if you have a camera on and it's rolling and it happens, all I can say is, I hope you got it. No matter what happens, I hope you got that on camera.
Yep.
That's really the only reason is, and to also have that experience, so that ways I can figure out on my own of how did that happen? How was that possible? I got pushed from behind. Did I trip over my own feet? Can I not walk? Or did someone behind me push me and didn't realize, bump into me? What had caused this to make it happen? And that's why I want these things to happen, is so I can figure out how was this possible.
Yep. And even after I was done, I was like, because I still had my gym shoes on and I was trying to see if I could slip or, I was trying to make myself fall. And it wasn't happening either. But
That's how I am with my shoes. Like, I don't know what it is, but they my shoes suck. I'm like literally tripping over my own feet, and I'm picking up my feet, but it's like every step I take, I'm like, these darn shoes, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But when he says going back to the scissors, she said she'd be afraid that they'd be thrown at her.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit, and I'm not one that gets scared very often, because when you go on investigations, besides having an open mind, you don't want to be scared. That's the thing, is because with energy, showing that fear, that's an emotion, and therefore that is energy that you are giving off for them to feed off of. So was that little concern in the back of my mind of, oh, what if a pair of scissors really does get thrown at me? What am I going to do? Thank God there's an EMT here, because I wouldn't know what to do. Luckily, nothing did happen, but still there is that, what if it did?
Right. Yep. Exactly. And then just going through the comments real quick. Jack, thank you for sharing. Glad you could join us. It's been a while. We need to talk. We need to catch up. So I'll try to reach out to you this week or this weekend, and we can catch up on that. And then Anthony, going back to being attacked, he has a few times as well. And no, it is not fun. Joe, I will definitely be reaching out to you, and we can find something that we can work on. And it is nice to find someone local. He says he just found us randomly, but we're all local. When Joe joins us regularly full-time, he is up in Connecticut. But yes, I am here in Florida. And then Brian, sorry, my son is choking on water right now. But Brian will be filling in for Joe when Joe is busy doing his other projects. Or I know Joe's not watching, so I'm going to say, so when Joe does not have time for me. No, and I love picking on Joe. I mean, it sounds like I like harassing him, but I do love Joe. And for those of you who are watching, if you've heard the term, I love Joe Franke, you guys will know where that comes from. It was a drinking game we did on one podcast that we did. And anytime someone in the audience said, I love Joe Franke, we all had to drink. So
I like that game.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And I was the sober one because I was visiting my mom. So I'm the only sober one in the group, and everyone else is drinking away. But yeah, and I know we have fun and we laugh about the paranormal, but it is a serious field. Yes, but that's why we laugh and have fun, because when I don't want to say when the lights go off, because I don't always turn the lights off when I do investigations, but basically when the lights go off, that's when things get serious. Yep.
I always do my investigations with the lights off. I have probably done a very small handful of investigations with lights on. My very first investigation was outside in the daytime, but
Mhm.
there, I don't, I don't know if I really believe that there's a difference between doing an investigation at day than there is at night. I get that nighttime because it's dark, it's more quiet, your adrenaline's going and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But as far as like activity responses and stuff, that can happen at any given time, no matter what. It's not just, oh well, it's 9 p.m. and now you guys got to come answer our questions. No, not necessarily. What if they were giving this team at 3 in the afternoon, their answers, and here it
Mhm.
is. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. That's it. I'm done.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. I actually find that sometimes when you go during the day, you get more responses.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah. It just all depends on the location, who's haunting it, and all
Yeah.
of that stuff.
And speaking of that, real quick, because it just came to my mind before I
Okay.
forget, it was I did 2 nights at Waverly Hills
Mm-hmm.
in 2020.
Yep.
I believe it was 2020.
It was because I didn't go because of COVID.
Right. Yeah, I was August of 2020. I did 2 nights at Waverly Hills, and the first night was very dull, very
Mm-hmm.
quiet. Nothing happened. We're locked inside for 8 hours. The second night we go in, it was like it was just response after response. I mean, so much activity,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's because I think we were expecting on our first night, like, this place is going to be a nut house. It's going to be crazy here.
Mm-hmm.
No. And the other thing too is I think it's because, well, the people that were there, and obviously the same people were there both nights, but it could be the people that were there, the energy that they had, or the energy that they brought that first night compared to the second night.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they have teams go in and out of that building constantly. And also, it could be that they were trying to get familiar with us first before they
Mm-hmm.
can trust us
Right.
come that second night.
Yep. And I know two people who are with you, and I guarantee you that when I've done paranormal investigations, when they're there versus when they're not, I've had more activity when they're not. Just
Yeah,
saying. So it's also the people who you go with,
exactly.
and
That's true.
that's just like I said, I seem to get more evidence, more activity when certain people aren't with me in that
Yeah.
aspect. And then when you were at Waverly, Anthony wants to know what the weather was like.
The first night was, let's see, it was in August, but the first night was a little windy and rainy, and the second night it was the weather was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, the one of the first EVPs that we got, that we were going, a group of us were going down to the body chute, the death tunnel, or whatever you want to call it, and you could hear the rain hitting the window.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the EVPs that we caught right there, we had thought that it had said an investigator's name, but it actually, when you clear it up and you analyze it, it actually says it's raining.
Mm-hmm.
And it was raining at that time.
Right.
But the second night was fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And we still have a few minutes, guys. So if you have any questions, please let us know. We are only going to go for an hour tonight just because I'm still fighting this head cold and I'm starting to not be able to talk clearly here. So, but anything else you wanted to talk about tonight, Brian, before we sign off?
Oh, anything really? I mean, if anybody has any questions that they want to know more about the field, about either of us,
Mm-hmm.
I'm open, really. I mean, Heather, I can talk for hours on this field. The stories, the experiences that I have. I mean, it's really up to you. I mean,
Yeah, what we need to do is we need to do a complete panel discussion with the former team from Vegas.
yeah, that would be
Get as many of us as possible on a panel and
share stories. And I could tell you right now, I already know that there's only going to be 3 people on there, maybe 4, and that whole entire time is just going to be us sharing stories after stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's you and I, but there's another person I know that will, Brent.
Oh yeah, no. When Joe and I actually had Brent on the show when we were on WLTK.
Yeah.
And we were the last show of the night on Thursday nights, and we went from 10 to midnight on Thursdays. We actually ended up going till 1 a.m. We did a 3-hour show with Brent because none of us could shut up about all of our stories.
Yep. I'm going to do a panel with Brent. You're going to get a lot of information and a lot of ghost stories.
Yep. Maybe we can record that live on a weekend night, and
that would be
that
great.
way we're not interfering with anything as far as other shows on the other networks that I air on, and we could just live air straight to my channel.
Yeah.
And we could also, air it to Brent's as well, because I know he's been wanting to do one.
And I will say, I'm not just gonna, Brent. I started this field off with Brent. I think I joined. Brent joined the team. I think right after I did, not too long. But I've done a lot of investigations with Brent, and I will say Brent is one of the most professional investigators I've ever been on an investigation with. The things that guy can think of outside the box that normal people don't think of is, I mean, I wish my brain would work, half the times that his does, because I wouldn't sit here. And when I first started was, what's your name? 5 million times. Mm-hmm. What's your name? Probably 1 or twice. And other than that, he sits there and he's just asking questions that you wouldn't even think of.
Yep. And the best thing is he's the one who trained Aiden.
Yeah.
And so when Aiden did his first investigation, he's asking questions like, is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Is the earth round or flat? And he's getting answers.
See? Yeah, see? And I love, and still to this day, I love the one that I think Aiden asked. And I would love to put this to the test, which I'm sure I'm sure they do. But do fish have ghosts? Are there ghost fish?
Oh, that was a little kid at an event.
Oh, that was a little kid. Oh, I thought it was Aiden.
A little kid came up to me. Yeah, okay. At the event that we were doing at McCaw School of Mines for Halloween, a little kid came up to me and he's like, "Do fish have ghosts?"
I thought it was Aiden. I'm sorry.
No, okay. He's like, "Are there ghost fish?"
Oh, I'm sure.
And he was real serious.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
I don't see why not.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I'm sure that's one of the reasons, and I will say this because I do study this, is I'm sure that's why a lot of shark attacks happen, is because they think that they're,
Oh, exactly. Anthony wants to know, have you ever had anyone turn, or an energy turn on the light where there's no place power can be at?
Good question.
I haven't personally, but
I'm trying to think. I would say that I can remember no. I mean, I have had a light turn on, obviously with the power being power, but there was no way that in order for the light to go on, you'd have to flip the switch, but not right, not that I can think of. No, okay. None of the investigations. No.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
The flashlight test, but that's
we'll get into that another day, because that doesn't work. So that test I personally do not think works. And Anthony, if you have stories to share, and anyone else who's watching, feel free to message me at Passport to the Paranormal, and Joe and I will make sure we get you on one of our shows in the future to discuss them if you're willing to share them. If not, just send us your stories and we'll share them and leave your name out of it. It's all up to you guys. So we're about ready to wrap a few things up. So one question I did want to ask, just because it's something we experienced on a team that we were on, is what are your thoughts when people don't analyze their evidence?
I'm at fault for this. When I first started,
I wasn't trying to pinpoint you. I was.
No, I know. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm at fault for this because I've done this before when I first started. And
so you're a hobbyist.
Yeah, that's when I first started. And then I didn't realize, okay, wow, I actually have a passion for this. I need to take it more serious. There's no point on going on an investigation if you're not going to analyze your evidence. Because what I wanted to do when I had the team is everybody get together and you go over your evidence together. I'm not saying you have to sit there for 12 hours and listen to it all together, but just go over your evidence and have everybody take a listen. Like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And when you go to do that, if you have evidence and you go to have someone listen or watch or look at a picture, don't tell them what it is. Don't tell them where it is. And please don't circle the picture. Just say, hey, what do you hear? What do you see? Hey, watch this. Tell me what you think. Because if you show me a picture and it's circled, I'm sorry, red flag. I'm not even going to bother looking at it.
Oh, you sent me many photos with circles around them.
That's when I first started, Heather. That's when I didn't realize, because I was like, hey, what do you think? Oh, I just see a red circle. That's all I see.
Yeah.
But you learn as you grow in this field. You grow as you learn. I'm sorry, I got my words mixed up. You grow as you learn in this field, and if you have evidence, analyze it. If you're not sure, hey, what do you think? Can you help me with this?
Yep.
Analyzing evidence is a very big part of this field, because if you're in it to collect the evidence, to collect that proof, you have to analyze it. You got to go over it. And Heather told me this too. Don't overanalyze it, because if you overanalyze it, make sure you save the original copy. That way you can have that extra to do whatever you want with it, and the original isn't ruined.
Right. Yep, exactly. And also don't overanalyze it, because you're going to eventually start seeing what you want to see.
Exactly.
Or hear what you want to hear. That too. Yep. But yeah, it's like I have very few evidence that I claim to be paranormal. But when I get it, I send it as, I have 5 people I send it to. Some that are seasoned paranormal investigators, a person who is not even into the paranormal at all. And then either if it's audio or video or photography, I send it to an expert that I know in that field but doesn't do paranormal.
Right.
So,
yep.
Sorry, I have the peanut gallery sitting here laughing. But yeah, and I don't tell them what I see or what I hear. And I have that one photo that I actually sent to you, and all 5 people came back with the same spot. Yep. And so once I get that confirmation to me, then yes, that's when I say I have something.
Yeah. If you're
and Aiden was talking about, we actually have a clip, an audio clip, which we think it sounds like a weird growling, almost like a dinosaur growl. But we didn't have any video to back it up, but we know where the digital voice recorder was. And it was nowhere near a person. But because we don't have that video to document that the recorder wasn't biased, everybody who listened to the clip said it was a stomach.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact that recorder was more than 6 feet away from any person.
Yeah. And always make sure, like, when you're listening to the evidence, you try to document the things that have happened during that investigation. This happened at X amount of time at this location. That way, when you do go to analyze your evidence, whether it's a picture or a video or audio, whatever, you're able to cross that out and say, okay, we know what that was. We know, so on and so forth. Like, the stomach growling.
Right. But unfortunately, at this location, we were in a location that would make sense for us to have a dinosaur sound, but they did not allow video.
No, they didn't. No.
So, and that because of that, that's why we're not sharing that particular clip publicly, because we don't have, and everybody who was there with us knows where the recorder was.
Yeah. And
but
I'm sure
listening to it.
I'm sure people are going to ask, what was the name of the location?
Yep.
We are not allowed to give that out. That's that when some places ask that you don't give out the name of the locations. Because this place, I'm not even gonna. I don't know if you said the state or not or whatnot, but they use it as a field, like for field trips and stuff.
Right.
And their biggest thing is they don't want it to be known as for it being haunted.
Right.
Because they have field trips and stuff here, so they don't want that publicity every time somebody comes in. Oh, I heard this was haunted. can I bring in my recorders? Can I bring in my equipment and so on and so forth? And they don't want that publicity.
Right. Nope. No. And it's funny too, because I have in my Vegas book, I think it was like 2 or 3 locations that I listed as an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
And you know how many people have messaged me wanting to know where these locations are? And I'm like, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I can't.
Yeah, I signed paperwork. I'm like, I was told I can release what happened. I just can't say where.
Exactly.
And that happens a lot in this field. You're going to discover that, especially with client cases.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll eventually touch base on clients and stuff and how residentials work and the proper procedures to handling clients and doing investigations.
Yep. Yeah. Even if we don't do it on Passport to the Paranormal, guys, make sure you follow my other page, Exploring the Paranormal, because Brian and I are going to be doing some recorded shows to add to that page as well, in addition to my live show that I do on Tuesday. But so yeah, we're gonna wrap it up tonight, just because I keep my nose and head keeps getting stuffier and stuffier, and it's harder to talk with every minute that's passing by. But thank you again, Brian, for joining us. Had a great time chatting with you as always. I'm sure I'll bring you on again because Joe's busy schedule. It might even just end up being you and I. But
hey, I'm here if you need me. You know that.
It might even be you and Joe one night if I can't make it. So.
Hey, there you go.
So that'll be a lot of fun. But thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you follow on Facebook, Passport to the Paranormal, or Exploring the Paranormal Show on Facebook as well, where you'll see some other videos that Brian and I will be doing in the near future. We're working on that. And then also, don't forget, you can catch us live every other Wednesday, except for the next Wednesday that falls onto our schedule, because I will be traveling. But we are on Passport to the Paranormal, Parapost Network, and Parallax Television 1. And I truly do thank those networks for letting us cross air to their Facebook pages as well. So mark your calendars. Our next show is To Ouija or Not to Ouija, where Joe Franke and I take 2 different sides of the Ouija board. I'm pro Ouija, he's anti Ouija. We talk about the history of the Ouija board, as well as famous cases that have occurred because of using a Ouija board. And then you also have some information in there from when I talked to the Talking Board Historical Society on another show, and information that I've gathered from them, including their Ouijazilla, which was the largest Ouija board on record. So make sure you guys tune in. Again, thank you, Brian, for joining tonight. And thank you, everybody, for watching. You all have a great night, and we will see you in about 4 weeks.